Hi everyone, and happy Monday. I hope you guys are having a fantastic start to your week. In my building, it is currently parent-teacher conferences, so the kids have half a day, and teachers, we have to stay, for a full school day, but kind of doing conferences, and it's really interesting because with the whole pandemic, we're doing them virtually, so it's definitely a different year, that's for sure. But I wanted to share with you guys a new book that I recently purchased on Amazon, and I actually have to give credit to one of my colleagues and friends at my school, Mrs. Grassi. So Gabriella is her first name, and she is a fantastic teacher. She's a kindergarten teacher this year at our school, and she shared with me not that long ago this book that she had got, and she let me take a look at it, and I absolutely loved this book. As soon as I was flipping through and reading it in my office, and I quickly went online and ordered it myself. And she was so sweet because she was like, oh, you didn't have to order it, you could have used mine when you wanted to. But I kind of told her, I was like, oh my gosh, you know me, I love having the books and kind of having them in my bookshelf and being able to just use it whenever I want. And so she fully understood exactly how I feel, and I'm so glad that she showed me this book. Otherwise, I literally would never have come across it. But this book is so fantastic, and it's called My Body Sends a Signal: Helping Kids Recognize Emotions and Express Their Feelings. And this book was written by Natalia McGuire and illustrated by Anastasia. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna butcher this last name. We'll just say Anastasia. So this book talks about so many different feelings, but what I love about this book is it's a continuous story. So it's a story about this little boy, and kind of from his day, the start of his day, throughout his day. But what I love is that the book shows the natural progression of how our emotions change throughout the day, and that's really why I like this book. And of course, it also talks about body signals, sensations that your bodies feel, which is so important for students. Especially, myself working in an elementary school, I think it's huge for elementary kids to be able to identify and pick up on when their body's kind of sending them a signal and letting them know that, maybe I'm not feeling so happy right now. Maybe I'm feeling mad, angry, sad, whatever the emotion might be. So this book does a fantastic job of doing that, of kind of talking with the students, explaining, that curiosity of like, why does my body feel this way? And talking about, like, for example, on this page, the boy feels excited because he finds out that his mom has like a special surprise for him, and it gives you some description words and gives examples, like his skin was tingly, he felt like he had ants in his pants, his heart was beating faster and faster, and then he's so excited he can't contain himself. Then he kind of shifts into being happy, his eyes were open, shiny, a wide smile lit up my face, and I jumped for joy. So I love this book, but it also talks about some other feelings too, like a time, how he felt proud, but then he goes to the zoo and a student scares the tiger, and kind of that causes him to become scared based on what happened, and some feelings, he jumped, his knees shook and got weak. He felt a pain in his stomach and he wanted to hide. So I actually used this book for one of my distance learning students that I have counseling with. They're at home and I'm at school, and we do our virtual sessions for counseling. And we use this book in our session recently because with that student, I'm really working on identifying the ability to read facial cues and understand that we can tell if someone's feeling based on what their face looks like, based on their body language. So we can oftentimes identify someone's emotion with nonverbal skills, like looking at their eyes, looking at how their mouth looks, their eyebrows, maybe if their face is red or not red, or what are their hands doing. But we can also identify how we're feeling. Like the boy in the story, his heart is racing, and this boy, his mood really shifts throughout the day, from feeling safe to there's a moment where he feels sad, there's a moment where he feels really angry because his sister broke his toy. And in the story, like, here we have that he's feeling really angry, and it kind of gives some examples of the anger, and actually the boy ends up pushing his sister. So in that lesson I did with my student, we talked about what was the size of his reaction, what was the size of the problem, did they match? And in my office I have a size of the problem chart, so I use that as a visual with the student, and we kind of identified, well, he had a level 5 reaction, he screamed, he was yelling, crying, but in order to have that reaction, was he in danger? No. Was it an emergency? No. So we kind of deciphered that his reaction didn't match the size of the problem, and we talked about what would have been a better reaction. So those were just some examples of how we use this in counseling. But I also love this because it explores coping skills. So the grandmother's teaching the boys some coping skills, or coping tools, toolbox strategies, whatever it might be, however you call it in your building or with your students or your child, and kind of some solutions. And then the book also continues because it has some other cards. I think the idea is maybe like you could either, if you were to cut these out, or like probably scan them and maybe cut it out and make like a little book for the kids. But I love it because it has some description words for how your body feels. So kind of feeling confused, shy, excited, surprised, ashamed, safe. But then here it gives like the description. So feeling really hot. My shoulders are tensing up, my cheeks turn red, and I just love this book for that reason. I also love this book because I think this would be such a great book to have students maybe take a piece of paper and track the boy's feelings and how his emotions change throughout the day, just as a lesson with kids to understand that it's okay for our mood or our feelings to change. You know, we often shift from feeling happy to maybe sad, upset, frustrated, confused. So our feelings are constantly changing throughout the day. And I think it's important that we bring awareness to kids for this, about this topic, and letting them know that, we don't just feel one way throughout the entire day. Nobody realistically is happy all day long or mad all day long, and letting kids know that it's okay for our emotions to shift and that that's normal and there's nothing wrong with that. And what we need to be mindful of is our reaction and how we choose to respond to those feelings. And there's certain reactions or choices that we can make that can make our problem better, like using a coping skill, a positive, healthy coping skill. But on the same end, there's choices or reactions that we can do or make that are going to make the problem worse. And that's where the size of the problem chart comes into play. That's where talking about, is this solution going to help you or maybe make your day worse, and what are the consequences. So a great activity also to branch into conversation with kids about the power to choose, which there's also a book, a series called The Power to Choose, with a boy, like What Should Danny Do, I think is the name of it. There's two with the characters What Should Danny Do, and then there's a book featuring a girl called What Should Darla Do. So those are just some extra book titles throwing out there for you guys if you wanted to do some extension activities. But I really love this book. Again, My Body Sends a Signal, and it's such a cute book, and it was inexpensive. I ordered mine on Amazon, and I have Amazon Prime, so I got it within 2 days. Sometimes you can even get it as quick as one day, depending on how close it is to where you live or whatever the case might be. But definitely worth adding to your social emotional learning library. And I loved using this book in counseling with my student, and I definitely will be using this for class lessons and kind of extension activities with kids, talking about the power to choose, growth mindset, fixed mindset, toolbox strategies and coping skills and all of those things. So I just wanted to share this book in case anyone wanted to look into it. Let me know if you purchase it. Leave a comment. Let me know some maybe ideas of how you plan to use this with your students or your child at home. I'd love to find out and get some other ideas maybe from you guys. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you guys have a fantastic week, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.